Hello students, I am Mrs. Rupali Samir Brahme from Ferguson College of Deccan Education Society, Pune. Students, today in Information Technology subject, we are going to learn the chapter Advanced Web Designing, and we are also going to learn the Advanced JavaScript chapter concepts as well. So let us begin with the presentation directly and demos for the lecture. So students, in last lecture we have learned how to do the client side image mapping. In that I said that how to take the coordinates. So to take the coordinates, observe this point you are supposed to note down. Keep your cursor over here, take a pencil, keep your cursor over here on the left top corner of your image and note down this coordinate on your notebook so that you can write that coordinates here. So observe this 81 and 52 is over here. So here I have got the left top corner of rectangle. Bottom right corner in client side image mapping can be get by this point. You have to keep the pencil here at this point and note down this 330 and 200 point. Over here I have got. So for the triangle you are going to note down these 3 points, and these 3 points I have written over here for the poly shape. Now how to take the coordinates for the circle in client side image mapping. So in client side image mapping, if I want to take the coordinates, this one I should note down for rectangle, and for the circle, observe how to take the coordinates. Here you need to draw a line like this on the circle, and once you will draw the line like this, immediately by pressing a shift key you are supposed to draw the line on the circle, and here you will find that 1 multiplied by some number. So you have to divide this number by 2 so that you will get the radius for this circle. So radius you are going to write down at the end. So 109 is radius over here, and this is a center point. You have to keep your cursor at the center point over here, and by taking a pencil you can keep your cursor over here at the center point and note down this is the point. So first you are supposed to write down the coordinates of the center point by looking at this and followed by the radius. So this is the way to take the coordinates. Last time we have seen how to write on this program by using client side image mapping. So let us go for the next topic over here is the definition list, which is there in the first chapter. For along with the ordered list and unordered list, you have the definition list which has DL, DT, DD and DT tag over here. If you want to write out data definition over here, this is the HTML file is the data definition, and these are the contents for that. So these are the tags used for it. If you write the code like this, you will get the output like this. So this tag is also important for the point of examination. So students, just observe the display property which we have learned in last lecture, but we have not seen the demo. So let us see the demo over here. Here I have applied the display property for H2 tag over here. For display inline block I have applied over here, and I have applied this is a display block over here. Once I say display block over here, you will observe here display block will take the complete width of your web page. And if I specify this as inline block, so obviously for style 4 it is inline block. So inline block will take only this background color as a cyan. So depending on the say your display property, it is going to change the output. And if I say display none, so in the display none, here if you can see the display none, so there won't be any kind of a effect for the text for the display none. So let us see the inline frame over here. Inline frame means it is also called as a floating frame. Students, floating frame is used to insert a web page or a website on the web page itself. So you can insert web page inside the web page by using the iframe tag. So iframe tag is a pair tag. You can put advertisements by using the iframe tag. So without the scroll bars, you can have the web page on your web page. So let us see which are the attributes of iframe. So these are the attributes. Go through a textbook and learn all these attributes for the point of examination, because for 2 correct answer or 3 correct answer, this question may be asked in your examination. Width and size, width and height will specify the size of your iframe. Name attribute will identify your iframe tag. SRC will specify what web page you are going to display on your web page. So students, you can try out iframe by looking at the code. Now let us go for the website hosting. Now website hosting, once you create a website, it should be published on the internet. So if you want to publish the internet, obviously you will need the web server. And if you want to have the web server's memory, so you will need to have three types. So which are the three types of web hosting? We will see just now. Web hosting is nothing but a service of providing a storage space for a website. So if you want a storage space, either it will be a paid or it will be a free service. So website is made available on the internet with the help of web hosting. So for the examination, you need to remember that web server is required for web hosting. So what is web host? The companies which provides the web hosting services are called as web host. So web host word can come for the fill in the blank. So you need to remember that. So students, here is a document structure of HTML5. You have to go through the 11th standard textbook to revise all these things. Navigation tag is used for inserting the hyperlinks, header tag to insert the title for your section or title for your web page. Section tag, you can insert your website information, topic information inside that. Article tags you can use to insert the independent information. If I remove some of the article, there should not be any effect for your web page. Aside tag is used for keeping some information at a particular side of your web page. So here is that can be a extra information. Footer information comes at the bottom of the web page. So these all HTML5 tags semantic tags you should remember for the practical examination as well as for online examination. Students, let us see the aside tag I have used over here, and in this let me show you the next slide, because here I have used the aside tag for the paragraph. In this aside tag I have used a paragraph having CSS. Now over here, observe on the previous slide, here the prior code. In this I have mentioned the aside tag having some CSS properties which we have learned prior. I have given a background color to it, I have given a bold effect to it, and observe the output over here because of the aside tag, and I have mentioned where it should appear by using the CSS properties. So it is appearing at the right hand side. So this is the output of the aside tag. So you can make use of it to get the output something like this. So let us see the types of web hosting which I said. The three types are there: shared hosting, free hosting, and dedicated hosting. Students, please go through the textbook for each and every tag, like get element by ID, which we have not covered in this. So here shared web hosting is there. In this you are going to share with other websites. In this will be a cost effective, so you will get a less cost for this, but your speed may reduce for the website. Free web hosting is also a free, but advertisements and the other things may appear in your website. So in dedicated web hosting, you need to pay for the web server, and that will be more costly, and but it will be more fast and more effective. So these are the web hosting types. Here we have finished with the first chapter. Let us start with the third chapter directly, because the HTML concepts are there in the third chapter, that is advanced JavaScript. Students, in advanced JavaScript, let us begin with the revision of the 11th standard. So here JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. You need to write down the code, and that will be executed by your web browser. So if you write simply only JavaScript code, the extension of it is .js. But if you embed your JavaScript code inside the HTML code, then that extension can be only .htm. It is universal scripting language. It can be used in any of the operating system as well as in any of the browser. So it is a case sensitive. You might have tried all the programs in 11th standard. So you might have tried the document.write statement also in the 11th standard to display some message. If you want to using JavaScript, you can make use of document.write structure. Students, you might have learned already if-else structure in 11th standard. We have also studied the other loops in the 11th standard. So let us learn whichever we have not learned yet. So JavaScript is interpreted scripting language. You need to remember this for the examination. Interpreted means what? You need directly it will be executed by your web browser. There won't be any compiling machine language instructions in the previous program. So students, over here, the programs written in the JavaScript are also called as a script. So this also you are supposed to remember for the examination. It is mainly used for client-side validation. True and false the statement may come. So which are the features of JavaScript you need to remember for true and false, or maybe for multiple choice questions. Here it is a lightweight programming language. You don't need any special software, only browser is sufficient. It is a case sensitive. Then here it can handle date and time, means you can insert a current date using the date functions. And here is the document.write built-in method. So we can write, there are two types of functions or methods in JavaScript. So what is a function or method? It is a group of statements to be executed once you will call them. So here is a function which is the print function. This is user-defined function. And inbuilt function is a write here method. We also called it as a function, means nothing but a method. Now students, the JavaScript is platform independent. You need to remember this one also for true and false statement. Platform independent means what? You can make use of the JavaScript for either a Linux, Unix, or maybe is Windows operating system. So any of the operating system it is, the JavaScript can be used. So that's why it's called as a platform independent language. So here JavaScript can be, as I said, can be executed by the browser. JavaScript is universal. Already we have seen that. So here there are two types of scripting languages. One is server-side scripting, another is a client-side scripting. So in server-side scripting, you will have some different languages, and in client-side, you may have different languages. So what is the difference between server-side and client-side? Server-side is used for a backend, means on the server, the code will be executed, whereas source code is not visible in server-side. And whereas in client side, the code will be visible for the end user and it will be executed by browser. So this is the main difference. The code will be visible to the end user in case of client side scripting, whereas code is hidden in case of server side. So this also you need to remember for the examination. Now here client side scripting is used at a front end. So user can see the code, and here server-side scripting is not visible. Obviously, it becomes a secure than the client-side scripting language. Now you need to have the special software for a server-side script, and just now we have seen that client-side scripting is executed by browser itself. Now, which server you require? You need a web server for executing the server-side programs. Now, client-side scripting language can be written in using JavaScript or the VBScript. Students, if I want to write down a scripting language, I can directly write down in the notepad, or there are some special softwares also available for writing the scripts. So server-side scripting is useful for customizing the web page depending on the user's needs, and that can be a dynamic. Server-side scripting requires server for execution, whereas client-side scripting is executed by any of the web browser. So if I want to write down server-side scripting, note down the languages which I may require for writing down the server-side scripting. So students, these languages may come for the 3 correct answers for your examination, or maybe for 2 correct answers. Like which are the languages used for server-side scripting, writing server-side scripting programs. So you just remember PHP, ASP.NET, Ruby, Cold Fusion, Python, and C#, these languages for the server-side scripting. If I want to insert the server-side scripting program, obviously I need to write down this kind of a structure in my HTML tag over here inside the header tag. Students, if I wish, I can write this inside the body tag as well, like this. So here, let us go for the next program is a for loop. So for loop, let us see the syntax of the for loop. In the for loop, this part is called as a initialization of the for loop. Why to require the for loop? For loop executes some of the statements repeatedly. How many times you want, that many times it will execute. For example, here whatever statements I will write inside the for loop will be executed by 1 to 50 times, means 50 times it will execute whatever I wish. So for executing the statements as many number of times as I want, or programmers want structure is used. Now here roll number I have initialized as 1. So this is a variable name. This is the part it's called as initialization. This is called as a condition, the middle part, and third is a increment or a decrement. So here this is separated by a semicolon. Student, it is a semicolon and not a colon. So you need to observe it because in the examination you should not do a syntax error over there. So here I am writing only one statement, that print a roll number. If I write such code inside the script type equal to text oblique JavaScript, so this will give me 1 to 50 roll numbers printed on my web page. So this is the first initialization, condition and increment part. Now roll number plus plus means it is an increment, as I said, so that it means roll number is equal to roll number plus 1. Students, do remember that if I want to increment it by 2 or 3 or any number, it will not be 3 plus. It will be simply like this, roll number is equal to roll number plus 2, because I want to increment it by 2. If I want to increment it by 4, so instead of 2 I will write a 4. So here that will be increment or decrement part step, that means. Students, let us see the simple program of printing 1 to 5. So observe the syntax over here again, initialization, condition and increment. So I am just printing simply A over here, means it will print 1 to 5. Along with that I have added a plus symbol. So this is a concatenation symbol. So along with that I have written a break tag over here. So this will go to the next line. So how it will execute? So it will initialize first A to 1. Then it will come over, it will check then it will, whether 1 is less than 5. Yes, 1 is less than 5. So it will come over here, it will print 1 and it will go to the new line. After that this A plus plus will get executed. So this means A will become 2. So then it will check whether 2 is less than 5 and then it will print. If it is yes, it will go print 2. Means this, when the condition is true, it executes the statements written inside this curly bracket. Students, if I don't write this curly bracket, still it will work because there is only one statement inside this for loop. If there are more than one statements inside the for loop, you need to write down the curly bracket. Then that will be must. Here let us see the next one. Here simple, it is the for program. Now here observe, this is a prime number program. In this also I have used the for loop. Observe the new statement over here, that is a break statement. The use of the break statement means I am breaking the for loop in between, though the condition is true. For loop gets executed when the condition is true. Students, observe here the program I have written, it is an event driven program. Now what is event driven means? I have written, observe the form first. In the form I have given a name, and in this I have mentioned here the text box for accepting the value. I have mentioned a button, and over here I wrote on mouse over. Means once user will move mouse pointer on this button, it will execute this prime function. And I wrote a prime function over here. For the question number 8b, this program is very important, and all the event driven programs will be asked in question number 8b. So you need to remember all the syntax of this program, as well as you need to remember how to write down an event driven program by using the form. Students, observe over here, it will call out the prime function. In the prime function I have fetched the value by giving name of the form dot name of the text box, means myf dot num dot value. Now after that I have converted by using the parseInt. This is an inbuilt function which will convert string into the integer value. I have declared flag as a 0. It will come over here. A will be initialized to 2. Here what is going to happen? It is going to divide the number from 2 to less than n. So it will go on dividing. Once it is getting remainder 0, flag will become 1. Suppose if I enter over here value 10. So 10 divided by this is a mod operator. So what mod operator gives? Mod operator gives the remainder. So 10 mod 2, so it is getting remainder 0, flag will become 1, and break statement it will find and it will come out over here. So flag is, it's 1 round, means it is not 0. So it will say that number is not prime. So this is simple program of a prime number. So if I enter the 5 value over here, it will say number is a prime number because it's not divisible by 2, 3, 4. Students, over here observe the program of the factorial. Now in the factorial program I have used the event on click. Now this on click event will make use of the factorial program. Now this factorial program I have mentioned over here. Same I need to write down over here. I have initialized the factorial as 1. Why to initialize the factorial to 1? Because by multiplying it by 1, it will not change the value of the number. So it will be same. So now over here the value of a I am incrementing from 1 to 5. So for the factorial, if I want to calculate the factorial of 5, I need to multiply 1 multiply by 2 multiply by 3 multiply by 4 multiply by 5. So over here factorial value it will take 1 first. Now over here it will multiply 1 multiply by the first value of a is 1. Now over here it will do 1 multiply by 1. So obviously answer is 1. Next time it will take factorial is 1. A will be incremented by 1. So it will be here by this it will increment. So I will get answer 2. And now next this will happen, answer it will take like this and it will multiply it by 3. So here I am getting the value 6. Next time 6 multiply by 4 and so on. It will go on taking it till it becomes the 5. So 5 is less than or equal to 5. So yes, so answer I will get 120 over here. So this will be the way the program will get executed. Students, it will execute only one statement inside the for loop because I have not written the curly brackets over here. So to calculate the factorial, I need to write on the program like this. I have written the on-click event. Students, do remember that on-click event. Because you need to write on such kind of event-driven programs in question number 8B in your online examination. So let us go for the next slide. Here, what I want to make use of is a switch statement. Now, what is a switch statement? Whenever you want to have the multiple decision statements, instead of writing if else again and again, I can make use of the switch case statement. This is a syntax of the switch case statement in front of you. Now observe over here, this value is there. This is the expression. I wrote this inside the script tag. So if I want to make use, what is the expression is nothing but a condition. When the condition is true, the switch case will get executed. It will check this with this value of the case. Students, observe the syntax here. There is a colon and there is a break statement after every case. There is a default case. If any of the condition is not matching, means if any of the value it is not getting, it executes the default statement. If you want to see how the program of switch case can be written, let us observe one simple program of a switch case. Students, over here I have taken the value of the variable m as a simple 3 value. If I take any other value, it will execute the default statement. I will tell you how. Here m I have taken as a variable as 3. I have passed this m variable to this. So switch it will be 3. So this 3 will be compared with 1. So 3 is not equal to 1 obviously. So this is not going to execute. So if it will check whether this value is 2. Value of m is not 2. So again it will not show this message. Now if I take the value of 3. So 3 is equal to 3. Yes, it will do. So obviously it is going to print International Women's Day. So here is instead of m is equal to 3, if I write m is equal to some other number which is not in this any of the case, means instead of 1, 2, 3, if I have any kind of a number over here, let us say if I enter number over here 30, so obviously it is going to enter the default, not a correct month. If I execute this program for the month 5 also, it will say not a correct month because this is not in our program. So you can add such kind of a 12 months and you can wish any kind of a day by simple program. So this is a switch case program. This is going to check this value with this. So this variable is compared with this. You can have the condition also over here in the switch case. Let us compare the for loop with the while loop. We have while loop also in our syllabus. Just now we have learned the for loop. So in the for loop, this is initialization. In the while, this is initialization. So in the while loop, initialization is given prior the while loop. Same, if the condition is true, then only the for loop gets executed. Similarly, in the while loop also, if the condition is true, then it executes. Now here, this is a condition is written over here in the for loop. This is a condition in the while loop. This is the increment part which is written inside the bracket of the while loop, for loop, and in the while loop, you need to write down the increment part inside the loop, only inside the curly brackets. Students, do remember to write down the increment or decrement part over here, because this increment and decrement part, if you don't write, the program will go in the infinite loop. For example, roll number is 1. Roll number 1 is less than 50, yes. So it will go on printing 1 if I don't write this increment part. Now this will go in infinite loop and your browser will hang. So you always remember to increment or decrement this variable. If I initialize it over here for 50, and if then in that case what I need to do, I need to change the condition greater than or equal to 1. So that will go in reverse. So I need to write on minus over here. So I can write from 1 to 50. Instead of that, I can write 50 to 1 also over here. In that case, I need to write on the decrement over here. So I can write increment or decrement in both loops, but do compare the for loop and while loop. So this is a while loop syntax. I need to write on the while, and after that in a bracket I need to write on the condition over there. Now let us see simple while loop program using the 1 to 10 printing. So now over here, observe event driven programming. Here I wrote a simple form over here, and I have accepted value over there from the user. And to accept, I have used input type equal to text. I have provided one button, and when user will move mouse pointer on it, it will call out the table F function. Now this is the table F function over here. Inside the head part, I have written this one, and here it will, I have initialized it to 1. I am accepting value over here, and I am just printing the table of this number. Now this program will print table of any number whichever the user will enter. For example, it has printed table of 25 in my output. So rest of the code and rest of the programs we will see in the next lecture. Students, we have started with JavaScript today. We can insert JavaScript program by using script language is equal to JavaScript either, or we can make use of script type equal to text oblique JavaScript. So you can insert your JavaScript program inside the HTML program, and you can execute it by using simple browser at your home. So that is important for the examination for question number 8B as well as for multiple choice questions. So let us conclude today for the JavaScript.